Hi guys, my name is Cassidy and I will be discussing the topic of the Link NYC digital kiosks for my digital symposium project. First off, you may wonder what a Link NYC digital kiosk is.
Hello.
Link NYC, the city's program to bring 20th century communications into the 21st century.
Free Wi-Fi service for all of New York City. That is the goal of Link NYC, a public-private partnership that's putting up digital Wi-Fi kiosks where old payphones used to stand.
Back in 2014, the mayor of New York City launched a competition to replace the 11,000 aging payphones that scatter New York City. After receiving many impressive submissions, he chose to run with a Link NYC, which ultimately was the idea to bring 10,000 digital kiosks across New York City. Each kiosk would supply free Wi-Fi, supply direct link to 911, have USB charging spots for your phone, plus access to things like maps, transit schedules, weather, fun facts, historic photos, and more. Ultimately, it was a big step up from payphones that matches the digital age we live in. The goal of this endeavor was to close whatever digital divide resided within the city, as there's economic and social inequality in terms of technology in most large populations. This invention ultimately offered all citizens free access to get connected, which was giving those who didn't have the opportunity before to now have that opportunity. The topic of digital inclusion was very relevant, where there is a large digital divide between having access to technology equipment, payment for internet, and access to Wi-Fi. Our everyday of digital access looks very different than those who do not have the same access or income to afford it. One advancement that has helped even the playing field is the Link NYC digital kiosk, in which it gives free Wi-Fi access to those who do not have access to a phone or internet. However, initially in 2016, when the kiosks were starting to be built, there was an issue.
Walking the streets of Manhattan, uptown, or downtown, you're bound to see people making themselves right at home at these Link NYC kiosks.
The kiosks were quickly being dominated by homeless people who did not have prior access to internet and the resources the kiosks provided. First, people were playing X-rated content from the internet browser in public areas. This caused issues due to inappropriate behavior and was a hazard for people's safety and overall comfort. Thus, the city made changes to internet access to change the availability for the same activity to continue to occur. However, because the Wi-Fi connection to personal devices was still intact, the opportunity to behave inappropriately is still possible at the kiosks. All these services are free to use, in part because the kiosks display ads that generate funds, and there's an estimated $500 million in revenue over the next 12 years from the Link NYC partnership. Kiosks are still used as a homeless hub despite the changes the city has made to prevent it. So it brings up the question, what about the rest of the New Yorkers? Has it become limited to only homeless people to use them, or do other people get to use them too? Well, ever since the change to the internet access availability, there has been a decline in complaints for people loitering around the kiosks. From my research, I've concluded that there is access for most New Yorkers, as the kiosks were intended for on-the-go stops rather than camping out spots. In addition, the kiosks are in all 5 boroughs of the city, which gives access to the maximum amount of people. Another aspect of inclusion that is necessary to mention is the accessibility component of the kiosks. The kiosks are touchscreen, which brings up the issue of accessibility for the blind. In early 2017, there was confirmation that there would be improvements on accessibility enhancements for blind users by improved accessibility screen navigation features, dedicated shortcut key to request assistance with a link, and updated screen reader and text-to-speech engine. In addition, deaf users have access to text displayed on the screens in order to have access to interact with the features on the kiosks. Ultimately, the only topic where accessibility has truly slacked is the differences in height. For example, people in wheelchairs, on crutches, and overall are shorter may have issues using all the features the kiosks have to offer. Originally, when I began my research, I chose this topic because I thought the kiosks were not inclusive because of the accessibility issue that occurred from prominence of the homelessness presence. However, after I learned that the city fixed the problem the best they could, I learned that the accessibility of the kiosks had become almost entirely inclusive. Another time when this occurred was when there were complaints about the lack of availability for people who were blind, and yet again the city jumped on it to fix it the best way they could as soon as they could. Because Link NYC was the first digital kiosks to be placed in the city, it was the first to undergo these accessibility issues. New York and many other cities have been able to manage creating a convenient tool to improve life for people and spread technology to those who may need it for a moment or may rarely get access to it. In conclusion, the digital kiosks are inclusive for giving internet and calling access to those who do not have access to it.